Chase Elliott involved as well as the 14 of Briscoe.
And we are back at Darlington where the leader, Martin Truex Jr., has just come on the radio to say he has lost power steam. He can't do anything.
I mean, I feel awful for Truex. What a year, right? Adam's going to say, is there smoke coming out of the 18?
Coming out of the pipes.
The 18 is blowing up. Jones is going to win the Southern 500.
I didn't think today was going to be the day. You know, it was going to be a tough one to win, I knew, but no better fitting place, man. I love this track. I love this race. And on that trophy twice, man. I was pumped to be on it once, but have it on there twice, pretty cool.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to NASCAR's Inside the Race, the show that goes beyond the checkered flag and really digs into the how and the why of how the victor got to victory lane. I'm Alan Cavana, joined by two of the best in the business, championship-winning crew chief Todd Gordon, Daytona 500-winning crew chief Steve Letarte, and lead NBC analyst. You guys saw an excellent start to the championship run last night in the Southern 500. What'd you think?
Well, listen, 16 drivers, you've made the playoffs. Congratulations. Now go to the toughest test in NASCAR. 500 miles at Darlington is like 2,000 at Charlotte, Todd. That place is a grind mentally and physically. We actually saw some equipment failure. It's been quite some time before we've seen that consistently in a race.
Yeah, it definitely has. And it's a test on everybody. The drivers to run up against the wall for 500 laps and 500 miles there. And crew chiefs to make the calls, coming from daytime into nighttime. Pit crews, 12 times coming to pit road. Just a stress of everybody for the opening race, and we saw a lot of failures yesterday.
Day to night, 500 miles, so much jumbling in the points. Let's show you what we have coming up on the show. On the box, we saw Erik Jones and Denny Hamlin battling it out for the victory, but the winning decisions, the winning pass, it was all set up much earlier in the race. We're going to break down how the 43 got to victory lane. On the other end of it, some troubles for drivers like Daniel Suarez, like Kyle Larson, but they were able to make the most out of their days. Just about. We'll explain what they did, and then, of course, all the playoff drama. Chase Elliott, former champion, crashing. Kyle Busch looked like he was going to win the race. What happened to him? So much jumbling in the point standings. We'll get to all of it, but let's start with victory lane and Erik Jones. Surprise winner, surprise the playoff field. How'd he do it?
Well, surprise winner for sure, but I do want to give the 43 credit. Dave Ellens, Erik Jones have continued to improve all year long, and they had a great car at Darlington. You have to have a car good enough when you get some good brakes, but it really was some good brakes. I think the best way to review another guy's race is really with these graphs. And Todd and I, we like to dissect the data, right? So when you look at the 43, this is how we look at it. So this right here is really simple, right? The idea is you want to be towards the top. Higher up the graph you are, better finishing position, and it moves from left to right. This is the final stage. We could put the whole race up here, but really the final stage is what matters. Right here, pretty standard for the 43 car, running just outside the top 10, having a pretty good day, but then it all kind of changes in this position right here.
Yeah, definitely. That's a green flag pit cycle that starts for the field, and one that kind of divided the field. We had several come to pit road, and that's what you see out of the 43 here. He moved up into the top 5 through this cycle, but there were guys that didn't take it to pit road at this point and had a very kind of timely caution come to them.
Yeah, so as everyone's pitting, the 43 is moving up the charts there, and then the caution comes out. Kevin Harvick catches on fire, scary incident, but that caution means all those drivers, like the 43, like the Gibbs cars, they can now come in and pit, changes everything.
Yeah, basically, the last stage at Darlington we knew was a decision. Do you pit twice? Do you pit 3 times? It's a little bit like Richmond. I'm not sure if this was a genius call by the 43 or if they backed into some good luck by only planning on pitting twice. I don't blame them. They were kind of chasing the Gibbs cars. And I know those are the 3 cars they should have chased. They were fast.
And I feel like they were trying to stay on par with the Gibbs cars, who would, at that point, the leader, the 19, had gone deep. Some of those guys had reacted to people short pitting here, but they stuck to their guns and stayed with them to the timely caution, put them in a group that really was in a better position for the end of the race.
So strategy, the caution, puts them in a good position for the beginning of the last stage.
Yeah, so basically if you go back to the line graph and you kind of look at where they settled out, right? So they're running about 14th. They run long in the yellow, and now we have a restart. And then this right here, about lap 300, this area right here, this is important. And why does that matter? Because it's kind of flat. They're running 4th the whole time. I think the best way to visualize this is let's dump the 11 of Denny Hamlin on here. Let's show you what it looks like when we put a second car. So much like the 43, The 11 started outside the top 10, a little bit shocking. Ran inside the top 5 for most of the race. They actually stumbled to finish out stage 2. So he's here, he's pretty flat, he's feeling pretty good about life, right? Everything's happy. You see, he climbs up, he catches the same yellow. But right here, green flag run, we have the 19 leading, we have the 18 second, the 11, the orange line is Denny Hamlin, the blue line, Erik Jones. So now a good break. But now, Todd, a good break wasn't enough. Now the 43 has to have a great break. Now we're coming to another set of pit cycles. This is where the 43 and 11 split.
Yeah, definitely. This position right here where the 11 goes up, the 43 makes a dip. That's green flag pit cycles. The 19 jumped on the front side of this. The 43 followed the 19 down pit road, decided he was going to stay on track with what the 19's call was. It really, was that a race winning call at that point? No, I think it was a race trying to maximize their day. They were fourth, had a great opportunity here. They came to pit road. Denny went longer than this. He was the one outlier here that decided to go to try to split this physically in half at lap 325.
I love this view right here. We're on board with Kyle Busch because he came as well. You see Erik Jones right out the window and the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. So same lap, all three come to pit road. I thought that was a good move. So let's go back, right? So now the 43 gets a little luck by running long. It is so hard to kind of flip your plan. So now, instead of being the last guy to pit road, he's the first guy. He chases the leaders in. Why does that matter? You mentioned the 11 of Denny Hamlin.
And we can see it on the graph where it diverges.
Exactly. They run 6 extra laps. The strategy here is he's not good enough to catch the 19. So he runs out here, these 6 laps right here, and then he comes to pit road. Now, the key is this. Look at this gain right here. He is passing cars left and right because when he comes off from pit road with 6-lap fresher tires, half a second, 3/4 of a second. That's this whole strategy play. And his car was impressive. And I don't think there's anyone better than Denny Hamlin to make this work.
If the race goes green, there's no doubt the 11 car wins by a long stretch here. They're just passing cars and making time up. They were 5 seconds in front of the 43 car before this cycle happened. They rolled back. Really, at this point, they were back to within a second of the 43 car when another caution comes out.
Best laid plans, right? It was going to work out for them, but then it doesn't because the caution comes out for the 51 car.
So if we stop for a minute and think about this, the 43 beats the 11. The pass for the win, always back, easy to look. The cross, where's the cross? I got my telescope. I love these tools, right? It's right there. You see that orange line dip down and cross the blue? The orange never gets above the blue
Never.
again. The pass for the win was literally in the middle of a cycle, a decision to be made with over 35 laps to go in the race. I tell everyone, hey, what's the best strategy? Well, you tell me when the yellows come out, and I'll tell you when you're supposed to pit, because it's almost impossible. But it wasn't even that simple, Todd, right? Because this is just the 11 and the 43. The 11 ran long. He wasn't thinking about the 43. He was trying to catch the 19 and the 18, and then all of a sudden, poof, the 19 has a mechanical issue.
And later the 18 blows up on pit road. But he had run stuck behind the 18 car with actually, I thought, more speed than him, watching the 19 get away from him. So Chris had to make a call to do something different than the 19 to try to cycle themselves in position.
And we didn't know it first, but before the 19 and 18 go out, the 43 made one position up on pit road by passing the 8 car, and it turned out to be the pass for the win.
Yeah, from the booth, we didn't really cover it because the 18 was first off pit road. I thought he was the best car left in the field. The 11 was back there a little bit, but Kyle Busch with clean air was going to be hard to beat. The 43 passes Tyler Reddick on pit road, and then, I didn't believe what I was seeing. I watched the smoke billow out of the 18 all of a sudden, and that gave him the lead. But it was a shocking moment, really, for all of us. We didn't know that was going to happen. And then once you gave Erik Jones the lead, then you only have to hold off, I don't know, one of the best drivers ever at Darlington and Denny Hamlin. He made it look simple. But it was a challenge. We talk about trying to dissect this deeper. We try very hard to do this on the TV coverage. But until you know who wins the race, you have to really unfold and look back. It took a couple timely yellows, a couple Toyota blown engines, and beating the 8 on pit road. All of that, a good car, and a great race car driver. That's what it took to win the Southern 500.
Yeah, and to the good car point, he held off the 11 car for 20-some laps in that last run. It wasn't like they got gifted into the position. They raced their way forward, and Erik did a great job putting it up on the wall and making speed when he had to. But you've got to have everything fall in order here, and they did catch a decent break there with a caution at one point, but so did everybody else who were racing.
Right. They really just chased those guys. Really, This is the point that the 11 didn't do anything wrong. He was just racing the wrong cars. He was calling a race to beat his teammates, and his teammates, unfortunately, were eliminated with mechanical failure. He never had his eye on the 43. I was in the booth. I never had my eye on the 43 until all of a sudden he was the leader of the race. It was like it happened overnight, and then they closed the deal.
And that's a call by Chris Gabehart that if we don't have the caution of the 51 car, they win by a long stretch because he had such good speed once he came out on tires. He was going to make up the deficit he dug himself into. So one of those where there wasn't a bad call, it just was a situational call, and it didn't work out in their situation.
Takes a lot to win these races. Congratulations to Erik Jones on his second Southern 500. That's a pretty impressive
Hey, and Dave
resume.
Ellens, crew chief,
#1.
First career Cup win. I'll never forget mine.
Yeah, you
Came
remember
at
yours?
Martinsville. It's life-changing for Dave Ellens. He's proven it on Saturday. First Cup win, you remember it?
Yeah, Michigan. Michigan.
Never
2013.
forget.
Yeah,
Never forget your
no doubt.
first. Couldn't be happier for Dave.
Congrats to everybody over on that 43 team. They had a good night. Let's talk about some other cars that were up and down throughout the night. Speaking of, the 99 of Daniel Suarez started this race in a huge hole with a penalty, had to start last, had to come down pit road after the green flag, automatically went a lap down. Then a little luck. What happened?
Yeah, definitely one of those situations. You got the penalty, had a little bit of rain that fell early in the race. When we looked at it, I looked at this race kind of falling out, and the comp caution was going to be a savior. I felt like he could do that pass through, try to get the lucky dog or the wave around it at the comp caution and put himself back in a position there. Probably be a lucky dog. They got the caution at lap, 6 or 7 for
Right
rain?
away.
And that gave him the opportunity to be the wave around at that point. That really set his day up because now you've got a short run that he's going to start at the tail and have to maintain on the lead lap, but only until we got to the comp caution. Then he gets to kind of join back with the regular group.
There was an energy right when that caution came out. Hey, we are back. We are back in this race. We can come. We got our lap back. We're back on the lead lap. We're not out of it yet. How do you describe his day?
Well, I mean, you look right here. This is losing the lap. You want to talk about a confusing line? Let's look at the 99's line, right? We showed you just the final stage of the 11 and the 43. You want to see, Darlington at its finest, what 367 laps looks like? Well, this is what it looks like. Look, I mean, you don't get any worse. This is the bottom of the barrel, but look at this trend. I mean, this is impressive. Up, 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 up. This is basically the end of stage 2. He has gotten all the way back. This 99 car, with a great race car, with fast pit stops, with Travis Mack being efficient, got all the way up where this stretch right here, this is that same kind of flat stretch. They got all the way up inside the top 5 for Daniel Suarez. It was a great recovery, all to come undone.
Yeah.
Speeding.
Yes.
Can't blame the crew chief.
and there were 2 mental mistakes that seemed like they happened between 250 and 275 for Daniel Suarez. One, he reported back he hit the wall, which once you've gotten yourself out of this hole to a fourth place running position, I think your day is in a great position. And then on the green flag cycle that we talked about, he was part of the group that came, a speeding penalty. And that really, to put you in a position, you go a lap down because you're short pitting, and now you've got to serve that penalty. We had a caution come out, but that kept him from taking the wave around and buried him a lap down.
Yeah, so think about this, right? We think about simple mistakes. The 11 or the 99 had a big issue they recovered from. Speeding on pit road in race 1 of the first round could be the difference maker. It could eliminate Daniel Suarez from the playoffs. He was unable to take that wave around. For the fans to understand this, you brought up a great point, right? His graph goes down. He recovers a little bit. But Joey Logano, you pointed out in our conversation earlier that he is the perfect example of a team that avoided that penalty, still got caught by the same yellow, but took the wave around and kind of, played the cards that were dealt. That I thought was the big difference, and that really clears up what happened in the 99 versus the 22, and we put them on the same graph.
And we pull them up on the graph, and it's very straightforward there. It's a good 10, 12 position separation.
Similar race.
You can't recover from it. It's just they go right in this area here.
Oh.
The orange graph here is what the 22 did without the speeding penalty and taking the wave around. They drove up to I think 4th place finish or something like that. Daniel Suarez never could recover. There was an opportunity to cut back from that lap down penalty.
I just think about that final restart and where I saw the 22, right? The 22 in position to win the race. You think that could have been the 99. That should have been the 99.
Let's remember, Martin Truex Jr. missed the playoffs by 3 points.
Yeah.
3 points. That speeding penalty cost Suarez, I'm comfortable to say, somewhere between 10 and 15 points.
Yes.
He's currently just above the cut line in 2 points. Like when we leave Bristol, if Daniel Suarez misses this round, it can be as simple as too fast on pit road, race 1.
All right, a mistake there. Let's talk about another driver. The defending champion, Kyle Larson, started his championship defense with a rough race, at least at first, because he was out there with the speed. Then all of a sudden he comes down pit road, hood up, and potentially engine issues. Ultimately, goes 3 laps down, unknowing these engine issues didn't last too long, but it put him in a big hole.
Yeah, in the spring, they had an engine issue. He heard something, felt something. This was, you've had him, Todd. I don't know. I call this is like the mythical issue that you can never seem to replicate, because then he goes back on the racetrack and look at this 5-car. Speed is fine, right? He's out there running good laps. So this engine issue, I believe what Kyle Larson said, he had an engine issue, but it obviously fixed itself, or it recovered, like it was an electrical thing or something like that. So he had a good enough car. So when we take a look at his race, it's real simple. He drops to the bottom with that engine issue, and then it is all about laps. Forget positions. You mentioned it, 3 laps down. Somehow Kyle Larson has to find those laps. They run about 100 laps, nothing happens. Then a caution. Late in the going of stage 2, around lap 175, the caution comes out. Kyle Larson, Cliff Daniels, they have no choice at this point. They take a wave around from 3 to 2 down, get one of their laps back. A few laps later, the caution comes out, but an interesting caution.
Yeah, definitely.
He was the caution.
it was the 5-car, and I don't know if it was the old tires or where it was, but it worked out very timely for him, because that they had taken it. They'd taken a wave around in a situation where they could have to run long green there and end up buried back 1 or 2 more laps down. So
we've got video of it. The caution helped Kyle Larson. His own spin ended up helping him. How's that work?
Yeah, he's clear, and he keeps himself on the lap. Doesn't get lapped out here. Just spun out here off of turn 4. It's tough to get a hold of this racetrack. It's very timely. I would, the black cloud people would talk about what happened here. Is this causing one of those issues? Nobody will know but Kyle, but a timely caution to get them to cycle back and get tires equal to strategy everybody else.
Oh, wait now, hold on. The detective in the booth, I was the same. I was, wait a minute, that timing is just too good. I dug through the radio, dug through the data. I couldn't see anything to prosecute, but it did work, because that got him from 3 to 2. Then, on that caution he puts some tires on, so you see he's kind of moving up. But look how long he was stuck in some of these areas, right? I mean, this is not good. If you are a crew chief and you are stuck here, I mean, you're not going anywhere, right? And then all of a sudden, you can see him start ratcheting up a little bit. So now he's 2 laps down. He puts on fresh tires. He comes back on the racetrack. The advantage he has is the 7 of Corey LaJoie stayed on the racetrack. Earlier in the race, he put a set of tires on. He had to find that set. What we talk about, so look, there's 12 sets of tires in the pits. Todd, man, they're going to be super valuable. The 7 put him on early to try to stay in the lead lap. Now he's a set behind for the leaders. That is why the 7 stayed out, did a really nice job. That helped the 5 get back on cycle. So now he's gone from 3 to 2. Then there is another yellow, and now he can take the wave around. He goes from 2 to 1. Then he outraces Justin Haley for the free press. So in 55 laps, Kyle Larson goes from 3 laps down to the lead lap.
Those are championship-saving days, potentially.
Yeah, definitely, and put himself back in a position to race his way forward. And timely that he took the wave around with a run that was going to be 10, 12 laps before the stage end. That way he comes to pit road and he can get himself back in a racing position and races forward from there. I really felt like Kyle was going to be a contender at the end.
I like working with Todd because he doesn't give anybody a break. And I said, it was a great recovery. And he said, no, it was an okay recovery because they came back down to tighten a wheel. And that cost him, 10 more points.
If you looked at it, I mean, they came out with a 12th place finish here, but he and Ryan Blaney at the end of the race came back because they thought they might have had a loose wheel and repitted, started tail end because of that, and could only battle back to 12th place. I think he could have been a top 5, solidly top 5 car and brought this day from 3 laps down to a top 5 finish, which is what Cliff Daniels and that group, put together for him.
The opposite of the 99, though. The 99 loses 12 or 15 laps. Not as good as it could have been for the 5. I agree with Todd. Yeah. But he finds himself 15 points, 12 points, something like that. You never know. So same thing. Points, I quote my old friend Jeff Burton. I know we all want to win races. Points matter. And points really, really matter.
And let's take a look at them, the playoff standings. After one race in the playoff standings, look, we know Chase Elliott had issues. We know Kyle Busch had issues. Totally jumbled up the points. And when you look at the championship standings now, Joey Logano is on top. And you look toward the bottom, Daniel Suarez, just +2. What you guys were saying, how much he cost himself with that speeding penalty. Kyle Larson, +17. What he could have been if he didn't regain from those 3 laps.
I mean, you can basically swap them, right? If Suarez doesn't speed, he's where Larson is. If Larson doesn't get his points or his laps back, he's where Suarez is. So it's pretty interesting. What I love about this is, Logano, I'm not going to say is feeling good, but at +38, he's at the top. but it is still just so close all the way through. Any mistakes are going to be magnified.
Logano on top, Harvick at the bottom. Everyone still chasing the championship. Speaking of the championship, the race for the championship debuted last week. Episode 2 coming up on Thursday. Here's a preview.
This is an event that drivers have been dreaming about.
It's hard to describe how special this race is. It's our Super Bowl.
It's the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen.
I understand there are dangers.
Big wreck in your mirror. Smash into the wall, into the air.
So it's a dangerous sport. Heck, everything can be dangerous.
For me, just being still and saying a little prayer, just being thankful for everything in my life seems to help. All right. Let's hit this thing.
So many times it's easy to overlook the fact that we're living history right now. Years from now, people will be saying, my gosh, I was there for a part of history.
Let's be efficient. We just got to be there at the end.
It's a race that every driver wants to end their career and say that they have won. I'm no different in that. I want to check that box too. I think we're very capable of doing that.
I want to win it. I want to steal the show.
Start your engine! Oh no! Crash! Oh my God!
Race for the Championship, Episode 2 premieres on Thursday. USA, 10 p.m. Eastern. Looking forward to that. The playoffs move on to Kansas. What do you like about Kansas?
I love the fact that the place is progressive. You can run from the bottom to the top. You'll see guys running on the bottom early in the runs. You'll see guys stuck on the wall. I felt like Kurt Busch won this race by not being married to the wall in the spring race. It'd be interesting to see what the guys can do there.
We're going to go to the helicopter shot. You're going to look down. You're going to think it's vanilla. It's a mile and a half. It's a little bit of a D shape. We see a bunch of them. It's anything but vanilla. Don't be lulled into a mistake. And when it comes to strategy, it's Darlington all over again. Rinse and repeat. Pit at the right time. Hope to catch the yellows at the right time.
Race 2, Hollywood Casino 400. That's Sunday, 3 Eastern on USA. We will be back here to talk about it all on NASCAR's Inside the Race. Looking forward to Race 2 out there in the heartland. It's been a great premiere episode here. We will break it all down again next week. For Todd Gordon, for Steve Letarte, I'm Alan Cavana. We'll see you then.
This year, see more. The full field of in-car cameras.